20 international chess professionals converge in St. Louis for the 2017 Fall Chess Classic. Round 6 of the Fall Classic here in St. Louis had a little bit of everything, from the surprising ease of a victory to the heartbreaking defeat in a big upset. These players all lie outside the world top 50, which means that they are more apt to take risks, to maybe play a bluff on the board, and it reflects because in both groups A and B today, there were 3 decisive games. The fields combined have a prize fund of $36,000. The top prize in Group A is $6 grand, the top prize in Group B is $4 grand. We play one classical round of chess every day through Thursday, September 14. Rounds begin at 1 p.m. here in St. Louis, except for the last day, which begins earlier. It was a very important victory today for Grandmaster Georg Meier in Group A, taking on another one of the leaders in a big game in this standings race here against Kovalev. Georg, give us your thoughts on this game today.
Actually, I played him last year with the white pieces at the Olympiad, where he was representing Belarus and I was playing for Germany. And already back then I had kind of made up my mind how I should play against him. And I actually beat him quite easily back then too. So when I show the game, I can tell a bit more about my general game plan, but it pretty much worked well again.
Well, let's have a look at it.
Yeah, so nowadays I play basically everything with white, not only knight f3. I also play d4 on the first move. In my last white game I played e4 here against Shimanov, and sometimes I even play c4. So basically when I'm white I try to find the opening that I think will be most uncomfortable for my opponent. And Kovalev is a very good King's Indian player, and although I have a very good score against the King's Indian, I always felt that positions have this slow build-up, less suiting his style and more mine, because they're usually quite symmetrical and there is not much counterplay. So he played c5. I wasn't sure what he would do here. He can of course just castle, which is the normal line, and then either play d6 or d5. Anyway, so he played c5, c4, and here is an interesting moment. He could try to do almost the same as in the game, like this, and here it's not possible for white to play d4 because black has already overprotected d4 too many times and can just retreat the queen, and I cannot recuperate the pawn. So it may be that knight c6 is actually a more accurate way to play for black. So he played castles, knight c3, d5, and here we have the difference, that I can play d4 at once. And of course, being white with the natural lead in development, it's nice for me to open the position if I can. So here the point is bishop e3, and white will win the pawn on d4 back, because this is gonna be quite unpleasant, the bishop g2 hitting the queen on d5. So he played d3, hoping that I will destroy my pawn structure or kind of weaken it by taking on d3 with queen or pawn. But white has this neat maneuver, knight e1, hitting the queen and rerouting the knight to a very good square on d3 and keeping my pawn structure intact. And of course it's nice that the bishops on g2 and e3 are now free and active. So normal development, and here I was thinking for a long time, because b4 seems very obvious, just using again my lead in development, trying to play concretely before black finishes his development. And the point is that knight b4 is, I think, very bad. Here we would get into a position where all of white's pieces are extremely active, and I will probably quite easily win the whole black queen side. But what I was thinking about all the time was the move queen a3. And I think Kovalev didn't give it enough thought. So the point is that after queen c1, queen a4, it looks at first very bad for black, because you should not take on b4. Then on the next move I take on b7 and there is havoc on the long diagonal. But what's quite annoying is queen b5, hitting e2 and a1. And well, after a move like a4, queen e2, black is always ready to play knight d4, and he has taken a very important pawn on e2. So I was not exactly sure what I would play. I thought probably I should go for something like this and just hope that black is not in time to exchange his weaknesses and that I can get a grip on the position with a better pawn structure. Instead of all this, he played queen d8 quite quickly, which I think is just a mistake. I mean, he goes back with the queen where actually the rook should soon go. So rook c1, and now he was thinking for a long time. The most natural would be knight d4, because of course I threatened to just take on c6, and I thought that black has great difficulties to basically untangle in this position, since, well, b7 is hanging, and if you play this, then you might not manage to develop the pieces at all. Actually, c6 is threatening to win immediately, and otherwise I just want to win the pawn on b7. So I think knight d4 would be correct, and he would have to find something else here. For instance, he can play rook b8, but then after a queen move, he has trouble finding a good spot for his own queen. So it's a worse position for black, but it should still be playable. Instead, he went rook b8, and surprisingly, I think the position has a lot of details. I wanted at first to just play queen d2, rook f d1, finish development and increase the pressure, but here it turns out that he can play knight d4, and I cannot play the natural bishop f4 because my queen will be hanging on d2. And if I do something slower, like rook f d1, he will play bishop g4, annoying me on e2, and he'll just take back with the queen. And he's ready to play b6 to just take away the target on b7 anytime soon, and it's quite close to equal, I think. So I played a4. And my point is simply that on knight d4 I have the very strong bishop f4. e5 will lose a pawn, and of course playing rook a8 is very sad because I get to go to c7 and just kick out the knight with e3. Or e3 right away. So he played a6. Now he allows me to fix his whole queenside with a5. And the pawn on b7, of course, can be weak forever. Also, he played a6 because in this position I cannot really take this pawn. He's taking back on a2. So one point of a4 was simply to have the pawn protected by the queen, so I'm threatening to take on c6 and a7. So we got here, and now I thought I'm much better. And probably thought so too, just without much thinking he played e5, but now he has great problems of coordination. I'm actually not sure what he can play here, because bishop c5 is quite annoying when he plays something like this. So he played queen f6, and now he's basically completely collapsing after bishop c7. Since I hit the rook on b8, pawn on e5, and yeah, I'm basically already winning. So what followed is just desperation, bishop g4. And here I have a choice. I mean, everything is winning for me, but I try to get to a position that is easy to play. Of course I can take on b8, but I decided to just take this bishop on g7 and have a superior structure, extra pawn, strong knight against misplaced bishop on g4, so that's enough for a technical win. So basically here not much is going on. And yeah, slowly but surely white should convert easily, and here I actually managed to blunder very soon. He played king h7, and initially my idea with rook d6 was to just play e4, which is winning. And okay, I guess he would have done something like this. And well, just playing, hoping that there will be some trick in the position, but it's already 2 pawns up. And well, I wouldn't take on e6 because then he gets some counterplay against my king. But well, what I did was simply a blunder, but it turns out that I'm probably winning anyways. So I wanted to play e4 with even more comfort, or just play rook c5 next, or h4. I have a lot of strengthening moves, and he actually has no idea unless I blunder like I did in the game. So this is his point. He takes on c1, and since I was low on time, he was cheeky enough to offer a draw here. But I saw that after e4, actually, he's just collapsing, since if he goes back, I'm just mating. And there is nothing near to a perpetual. So he played c5, queen b7, and yeah, now here I saw some nice way to finish the game. So everything is hanging, f5, c8, f7. He played king g8, took on f5, rook e8, and now this I saw on advance that here I will finish the game with this neat trick, and there is no defense against mate on g7.
That draw offer that he made, do you find something like that offensive or not?
He didn't have time himself to evaluate the position at this point, because I blundered into this trick, and since I was low on time, I guess it was just, you know, psychologically smart move. It was not that clear that he would be lost, but of course I think he understood he has to be worse. But I mean, there are cases when someone offers a draw when he's lost, and then I mean, when it's clear to both, that of course is not appropriate.
I mean, especially at your guys' level. This tournament designed for the 2400 to 2600 range, these invitationals are kind of rare around here. How often do you get invited to a tournament like this, and what are your thoughts on the format?
Actually, I think now it's the best time to be playing for the US as a youngster, because this is exactly what you need to improve. If you are someone like Avondel Liang or Liu Weifeng or any of the young promising talents the US has, you need these round robins against strong competition, because every game is basically a training, it's a lesson, and you grow. While if you just play some open, then most of the time when you're a GM already, you will play weaker opposition, and the objective is just to win some prize money and not really to improve your chess. Well, this is the right setting to actually make progress as a chess player. And most other countries, actually no country has what you do now, with a set of round-robin tournaments every single season, 4 times a year. So I think that's a fantastic idea that the chess club is implementing.
And it really is exciting to think about who may emerge from these fields that we're having. You know, every 3 months or so we have one of these tournaments. And some of them, there are some norm situations as well in them, so that's another angle. And right now you sit atop Group A, so that's very exciting stuff. Georg, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it, and good luck down the stretch in the final rounds. Let's take a look at the rest of the standings for Group A after 6 rounds have been played. Meier has got to be happy. Lifetime score 2-0 against Vladislav Kovalev. And Meier still sits atop the ranks with Yaro Zerabuk. Can he hold that top spot until the end of Thursday? That's the day of the final round. Remember, there will be a playoff if there is a tied top score at the end of this thing. Only one can be the champion. The most important game in Group A for Tuesday, September 12th, is Yaro versus Daro, the battle of the SLU students on board number 2. Group B saw a true shocker today, as Tatev Abrahamian defeated her good friend Alejandro Ramirez, who was strongly favored to win, and Alejandro is at the top of the tournament. He gave away the full point to Tatev, Tatev blasted him off the board. Both players were emotionally kind of upset afterward, as they are very good friends. This was a big loss for Alejandro, and Tatev had trouble finding joy in the victory out of concern for her friend. It really is lose-lose sometimes when you play someone with whom you are so close. On Tuesday, September 12th, Alejandro tries to dust himself off. He has the white pieces against Josh Friedel. That game, along with Pavlidis and Pichut, are the games to watch in Group B. Big standings on the line there. Each round's notable players will be interviewed in this recap, but remember to follow the games live every day at 1 p.m. in St. Louis via Chess24 and USChesschamps.com.